Just going to get ready to get started here. I just want to kind of get things rolling. It's Earl Walton, head coach. Just wanted to say hello to everybody today and welcome to 2 weeks till race day. We're going to have a short, quick presentation today just to go through a little bit of the basic race day prep and the race weekend prep. The idea here is that not necessarily to walk you through steps by step through your weekend, because everybody's weekend is different, but to hopefully put a few tools in your hands that you can use to make your weekend go a little bit easier and a little bit smoother. What I do want to get out of this weekend and what I want to, or out of this presentation, and what I want to encourage is communication. I say this every time we have one of these webinars, and I feel like every time we do it, it works, and I get a few more opportunities to interact with everybody. But as we head into race day and race weekend, there are definitely logistical things that are going to come up, specific questions to your experience that you may need a little help with. I mean, it's everything from, my parents are coming in late on Friday night and I don't know where to put them, to my little cousin broke his foot and is in a cast and we don't know how to get him around the course, to I wear glasses, where's the glasses table at the swim start, and how do I make sure I get them after my swim? So there's a lot of specific stuff that is always very important just to you, and that's one of the things we're here to help with. So I want you to please feel free to contact us and ask us questions when you get through to different things. We're talking specifically about 70.3 races today, and I want to talk mostly about what's coming up right down the pike, which is Raleigh and Hawaii. And as I said, the most important thing for us today is to put the tools in your hands so that you can really start to get a grip on it. 3 keys to a successful race weekend and to the successful 2 weeks leading up to your race weekend, because it starts now, is 3 simple things. We want to have is pre-planning. 1, making sure you're getting things done ahead of the curve and ahead of time. That means, like, this is the week to make sure that you have all the things you need as far as nutrition. Shop this week for your nutritional needs. And that means everything from race nutrition to I like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and I want to make sure I have one at 4 a.m. Make sure that you have written down a plan for your race and gotten to the point where you have some honest and real goals to work with. So writing down your race plan. And that's the pre-planning stuff. And start to kind of get rid of the gray areas. We want to eliminate as much gray areas and as much kind of thinking and decision making as we can, and kind of save our brains. So just like we're tapering our muscles and our bodies for race day, you want to taper your brain. Like on race day, one of the most successful things is the person who can come in fresh with an open mind and can make all the right decisions on the race course. And if your mind is constantly overwhelmed with other decisions, it can tend to exhaust it. And just like our bodies, we get mentally tired. And by the time you get on the race course, all you want to do is just put your head down and go. So the 3 things that we say, pre-planning is one thing that's really important. Organization is another. When you pack your bag, not just tossing everything in there, but having things organized, not having to look and search all over for your CO2s when you arrive because they're somewhere in the back seat of the car because I just tossed them in. So being organized, these are important things. And then the other thing is having the right people in the right places on race weekend, and knowing who the right people are to reach out to on race weekend is the other kind of important thing. So let's talk a little bit here about the first probably key to success as far as I'm concerned, and the key element to your success. And I'm hoping I don't know if you can see my screen. I think you can see my screen. Now you can see my screen. All right, I think you can see it before. We should be able to see my screen here. And this is, where is it here? Here it is. The number 1 most important thing, it's the athlete guide. Especially if you're a first-time racer, this is your Bible, and this is what you're going to be working off of. So print this out. Like, I highly recommend you print it out. Sneak into your office copy room and print it out in high-res color, so it's really nice, because this should be a big memento to your weekend. But as you go through here, these are the important things. Obviously, you have the race director's welcome because he's a really nice guy and worked really hard for this. A very important thing is this note from Jimmy, who's the head referee. This is important stuff, believe it or not. Sometimes you look at it and all this small type can get you a little bit crazy, but looking through the head referee information, where to put your bib numbers, where to put your race numbers on your bike, how to handle that stuff is important. The cards and how they handle penalties is very important. And then what your drafting and blocking rules are. Those are important things, and you really need to know those because it'd be a shame for you to get out there and be surprised by a penalty. That's important. The next honestly, very most important thing is this page right here. Knowing your schedule for race weekend is absolutely critical. And you see this is your general race schedule, and this is the schedule that's going to tell you what is happening on the race site. And then what we want to do from this schedule is we want to kind of take your life and then work it around this schedule. So there's a lot of things on here that you can see, everything from the athlete check-in on down. This is our Raleigh guide, and I'm just going to use that as our example right now. But you can see things like, if I arrive on Friday, I can check in from noon to 7 p.m. on Friday. That's really great. So that means I can get everything done for the most part Friday evening before I need to really start thinking about like the logistics. So I can have, for me, I always think of Friday is my setup day. That's I want to get checked in. I want to ride my bike a few times or for 15, 20 minutes just to run through my gears and make sure that everything is working. I want to spend a little bit of time going through my gear and making sure I haven't forgotten anything just in case, but you probably won't. Because this still gives me a day to then take care of what I need to. If I show up and my power meter doesn't work, or if I show up and I've forgotten a wheel, which has happened, I've seen that happen, I've still got time to get it done. I can still find it in town and I don't have to panic. So I've got the rest of the day on Friday to do that, and even part of the day on Saturday. So Friday is my setup day. The other thing I can do then is I can also make sure that I've registered and gotten my packet and my race number and all that other stuff, so that tomorrow all I'm doing is laying out race day stuff. So everything builds upon itself. So Friday I've gotten there and I've gotten everything done and I've set up. Saturday is your on-site day for the most part. You're going to go to the site, you're going to do a test swim if you can, and swim in the water. You're going to check out the transition area, walk the transition areas, know where your bike is going to be, walk the ins and outs. I always like to see people walk from the swim exit. My preference is if you're going to do a test swim, get in at the swim exit and swim from the swim exit out to the final buoy and back. And that way you're sighting on your way in, so you can walk that area a little bit and get to know it. Then you're going to walk up the chute into transition, walk through the transition area, know where your bike is. If you can, then you want to get on your bike and ride out the transition. If you haven't checked your bike yet, you can always just pick up your bike and ride that kind of first chute out. Do a 10 or 15 minute ride out and back, just something simple to go through my gears, make sure everything's right, my tire pressure is correct, make sure my gears are all shifting okay, nothing's moving around. And then I'm going to go right back in. I'm going to walk through transition again. I want to run out the other side, so I can run that first mile out and back just to kind of get to know the run course. And that's your Saturday. That's your whole thing. Don't spend a lot of time at the expo. Don't spend too much money. Try to get yourself out of there in as little debt as you possibly can. But that is your physical day, right? So if your mental day was Friday, your physical day is then Saturday, where you're moving around and kind of manipulating, putting everything in its right place. And then Sunday, obviously, is race day. So you're getting up early and getting out for the race. So this week, you're looking at the schedule. You're getting to know it very well, and you're kind of looking at how things go. Like I said, I typically, and I will send you guys these, I'll post these documents out. This is obviously a very mock schedule here, but, when there's a lot of moving pieces in race day, and one of the big ones is a big thing that you can use to control it is give yourself limits and times. So time and calendar is key. Like if you say I'm going to get there at 1 o'clock, I want to make sure that you leave there and get there at 1 o'clock. and hold to your schedule as best you can. There's always things that can throw it off. But if you have a schedule, then all of the things that are moving around you have to bend a little bit to your schedule, and that includes the people in your entourage. So if you've got family coming in, if you're going with family and traveling with them, let them know loud and clear what your schedule is. Now, I hate to say it, but this is your weekend. This is your weekend to be not selfish per se, but to be focused. And I think that's a fair thing to ask after all of the training that you've done. So we're going to get you guys focused here. And you can see I've got little things in here. I haven't filled this out. I expect that I'd like you to take this and fill it out to the most minute of details. But everything that's in here is everything from, I want to see your arrival and check-in information, when you have a snack. I want to know when you go out and ride and run, what time you're planning to register, what time you plan to leave. Things like knowing when you're planning to leave the race site is really important, because if it's 4 o'clock and your friend says, hey, let's go check out the expo over there and look at this, and you can look at your clock and say, you know what, I only got 15 minutes, and that's all I've got, and you can stay on that good time schedule. But then you have everything. The other thing that you can put in here is, make your reservations for your dinner ahead of time, so you're scheduling that in and you're getting ready to go there and you're set. Because that's the other thing. When 2,500 people descend on a little town in North Carolina or a little town in Hawaii, the dinner reservations start to sell out. And believe it or not, that blue light special at 5 p.m. on Saturday becomes a pretty hot ticket. So make sure you're getting there early and getting yourself scheduled and claiming your spaces as you go through. So you see, this is, like I said, a simple example of the schedule, but we're looking at, everything from, hotels, breakfast, wake up, swimming from the exit, to describing what your workout is and what you're going to do, and everything in between. So you can see all this stuff in there. It's very important to have it in there. All right. So that's your weekend calendar, and like I said, I'll send this to you, and you fill in the times and you fill in the data. But if you do this, I'll tell you what, it's like a huge weight off your shoulders heading into the race day. Along with the pre-planning stuff, and this is one of the most important documents you're going to get. I'm going to send this out to you guys as well, and I want to spend a little bit of time here, just a few minutes here right now. But this is the key document. All right, this is your race planning document. All right, and as you can see, this is to help you start to predict your times. Now, at a half Ironman distance, this is definitely not this isn't a race where a lot is left to chance. You pretty much know how long it's going to take you to swim 1.2 miles. You know how long it's going to take you to ride. You know how long it's going to take you to run. And there's not a lot of guesstimates. It's not one of these things where you're going to hit one out of the park and all of a sudden you're going to be an hour faster than you ever predicted. So with the training that we've done, you should be able to zero in on a pretty honest goal. And this document is all about it. And this is where we go through it, and I'll take you through each piece really quickly. Sports and transitions, this is your event, obviously. Your swim, your T1, your bike, T2, your run. This is a special needs if you were doing an Ironman, but obviously we're not doing that. But let's look at some of the things here as far as times go. Let's say, your A time, and every one of these has an A, B, and C time. So your A time is you have the perfect day, and it's a stretch goal. It's the best you could ever imagine. So if you're swimming typically you've been swimming around 30, let's say you go 28 minutes for that swim. Your A time here goes in. All right, we're 28 minutes for the swim. All right, your B time is, I know I can swim 30. I know I can swim 30 minutes. And your C time is a disaster. All of a sudden you got out in the middle and your wetsuit unzipped and your pants fell down and you swam naked for the rest of the race, and it was horrible. So that's C time, all right? Although I'd probably put, if everything went, I'd probably try to get out of the water pretty quickly, so we'll give you a 39. And in here you have your nutrition. A detailed nutrition plan. This includes your calorie and carb counts, any additional information. You want to put in the bare minimum that you will need, and any adjustments that you see that you might need from there going forward. So for the swim, we're going to enter in, our breakfast. Our breakfast: English muffin, oatmeal, 3 cups of coffee, and a banana. I drink a lot of coffee, so that's just for me. That's your calories, and that's your typical breakfast, and that should reflect everything that you've been doing before your long weekends. So that should show you a little bit of what you've been doing. Your mindset mantra. This is a great place to kind of write something down and put something down that's going to keep you focused, especially if you have swim nerves. I'm a big fan of the most simplest of mantras, which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, and just counting my way through everything. So that's a great way to do it. And then here's also another important opportunity to kind of put your packing list stuff here is, what am I going to use for the swim? I need my swim cap, my goggles. I need my wetsuit, obviously, and the other equipment that I'm going to use. For the bike, a similar thing. If you're typically a 3-hour half Ironman cyclist, then that's your B goal. 3 hours is your B goal. Be a little bit faster. Let's say you get a tailwind the whole way back. Let's say 2:52 is your B goal or your A goal, and then your C goal is I got 3 flat tires, and each one took me 10 minutes each. So there's 3 flats. Okay. The same issues here. The only detail I'd like to see added here, your A is going to say I'm going to eat, 3 gels over the course of the ride. Now, please don't take that as a nutrition plan, because I think that's probably a little bit light. But let's say, my B is I need 6 gels. What that means is you need to make sure you have 6 gels, either that you're getting them from the course, and what I want to know is where you're going to get them and how you're going to get them. So a lot of people say I'm going to eat off the course, which is fine. I'm going to feed off the course, and that's a perfectly valid and perfectly doable plan B. Plan A is your ultimate plan where you don't need anything other than what you're carrying. So that's that. And then down here at the bottom, we've got the run. So the same thing, my half marathon. Let's say my open half marathon time is 1:30. I am a big believer that everyone should be able to run within 10% of their open time if they've paced the bike correctly. So let's say my doable goal is 1:39. All right. Let's say my A goal is, again, it's a downhill course the whole way, and that means I'm going to run 1:32, which is very close to my open time. The C goal is, again, I've cramped up and it's a disaster, and I'm at 2 hours. That's really not where I want to be. And what that gives us is a little bit of a range now. A perfect day, you're at 3:20, you're at 4:52, you're at 4:57, you're literally 5 hours and 30 seconds, which is a terrible goal time because, of course, you'd want to be under 5 hours. But then you can start to mix and match things. I swam really great. I had a decent ride at 3:28. I'm at 3:28, but then I had a terrible run, and I was 5:28. And that's no good. But it does start to give you some kind of bookends to what you're working with, and you start to understand what you're dealing with. So again, I'll send this out. Really important piece of a really important tool for you guys as you move forward to really start to recognize what you're capable of and start to put into paper. We started the season with a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and toys. And this is your race week version of that. Where am I strong now? Am I stronger in the swim, stronger in the bike, stronger in the run? How is my nutrition? Where are my opportunities? Where am I heading? And this is exciting. When you finish this document, I want you to take this document and put it next to that original SWOT analysis and see what you've got, because it's very exciting to see the 2 documents, and very powerful to see how far you've come from the start of your training. So the final document that I want to take you through, and again, I'm trying to be efficient, no need for a big PowerPoint presentation today because we're going to send these out to you. The final document here is the ever-exciting and never-ending packing list for Ironman and half Ironman distance training. And this is, it's a lot of stuff. So I'm going to say this right off the bat so you understand. You don't need all this stuff. So please don't look at this and say, I need this, that, and the other thing. You need to go through this yourself and make sure that you kind of highlight or check mark the things that you need and that you want. And I'll send it to you in a Word document so you can honestly delete stuff as you like. I don't really think this is a proprietary piece of information, but it does help you kind of understand like just how complicated and how much stuff you might need. And also what categories kind of overlap and where they go from. So I'm not going to read each item individually. The must-have things, and these are really key, your USAT card, your driver's license, and your proof of entry. This is critical, critical, critical stuff. And we have been in situations where somebody shows up and they've forgotten their driver's license. And guess what? It's not easy to get a driver's license. And it's really hard to prove who you are. And they are very, very strict with the rules with Ironman these days. So keep an eye on that stuff. But you have everything here from extra water bottles to CO2 components to other things. So you guys want to make sure you're looking for that stuff all the way through. All right. So these are kind of your key things. You know, I did mention that the right people are really important. So that's something that I want you guys to be aware of. And you know, that depends on who's going to be there and what they're doing. And so as you go forward, you know, this is 2 weeks where you can prepare the people around you for what they're going to experience. And one of the great things about being a part of Smile Train is that Smile Train takes great care of you on race weekend, and there's a lot of events, and we'll start to send you guys the itinerary for the weekend and the training plans and any other questions that you have moving forward, so you can see that. I will say this, I want to show you one last thing on that note before we wrap things up. I'm trying to keep it to a 30-minute session here today. But this is our 3 weeks till race prep. And, you know, we're in it now. We are right here. We're heading into Memorial Day weekend, so you've got your brick on Saturday and Sunday. Monday, you have simple pacing work. And then some easy things, race bricks and things like that as we go forward. And then obviously we have our 2 race days. You know, feel free to move some things around based on what your timing is and what you need and what you're doing. But overall, this is, you know, our goal on race week is to strip away the fatigue and make sure that your body is amply rested and you're in good form for race day. So it doesn't mean we want you to go to sleep. I can't have you guys go to sleep that race week because we want to be ready. So you have to maintain a certain level of fitness. So we keep the body moving. And we don't want to forget, you know, and this is the most important thing I can say as far as preparing you for this race is I don't want you to be, this is not, the taper period does not prepare you to make the race easier. It's not going to make the distance easier. It's going to make you ready to make the distance and make the race go by faster. So you may feel great. You are going to feel better. You're going to feel stronger. Where you're going to feel it is when you can power up a hill better than you have in the past. You're going to feel it when your lungs feel stronger and the air is moving better through your airways in that swim. You'll feel it as your legs get out to run, and those are the things that the taper is going to provide. It doesn't mean you don't have to work hard to go fast. You're still going to have to work hard to go fast, but it does mean that you're going to have that little extra kick and that little extra gear that we're looking for. So that's a really key component to it. So those are the key components. Like I said, I do want to keep it to 30 minutes today. I want to keep it short and sweet. One of the other important things about preparing for the race is not to necessarily overwhelm you. It's a workout like any other. It just happens to be catered. It happens to have a whole bunch of friends on the course with you. And there's a start line and an official finish line. And I think those things are going to make it a little bit more fun than your typical workout, but don't overstress and overcomplicate things as you go forward. I hope these items, these little pieces, are going to get you ready to go forward. I'm going to go back really quickly here to two other sources. I don't want to forget to mention these things. The Facebook pages for each of these races are fantastic. What they provide as far as details, they're great. People are swimming in the lakes now. People are out there, and they're posting in here about things that they're seeing. So this is a really nice, valuable piece of information. And then obviously, like I said, the race guide, the athlete guide is key. What I'd like to do is just leave it open to questions from you folks. If you have questions, please let me know, or if you want to email me questions later. And as I said, I mean, there's things like dual transition areas and things like that and how to manage them. But again, these become very personal questions, and I don't want to just kind of gloss over them. So please feel free to email me, and we can definitely get back to you. But if anybody has a question or a specific question right now and they'd like to ask, please feel free. I think you can raise your hand or let me know that you want to ask a question. So I'll leave that open, or you can write a question in. I think there's a question you can write in, and then I can answer the question. So if anybody has questions, please feel free. If not, we will wrap things up, and we'll head into the next phase into the next week's conversation. Any questions? No questions today. All right. So next week, final thing I'll say is next week we are going to do one quick race nutrition webinar on the 27th. That'll be focused on 70.3 nutrition race day type stuff, just kind of, again, final questions and answers. If you have any, please feel free to share them. Otherwise, that's it for today, folks. So please feel free to give us a call, and we'll talk to you soon.